Views expressed by Hoot and Holler storytellers do not reflect those of Blue Ridge PBS and may contain themes and language not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Blue Ridge PBS and ECHO present Hoot and Holler, a live storytelling event recorded at the Historic Grandin Theatre in Roanoke, Virginia.
Hang on. You ham. It was July 22nd, 2012, and the mission was simple. Go pick up these guys and drive them back. If only it had been that simple. All I remember from that afternoon was my squad leader ripping open my driver's hatch and me innocently looking at him saying, "Hello." As he reached in for my hand to help me out, I asked him, "What happened?" He looks at me and says, "They got us, bro. You good? We gotta go." I was confused, sore, and in utter disbelief, heading to the medevac helicopter that I was walking away from my striker that had just been hit by a 400-pound improvised explosive device, or IED. The blast had been so powerful that it had picked up an 18-ton, 22-foot-long vehicle, slammed it through a concrete wall, and sent it through a concrete wall and completely removed both front driver's side tires, sending them a football field's length away from where the vehicle had exploded. In the field hospital, I called my pregnant wife and said, "I was blown up today." After hanging up the phone, I started to cry. I was starting to realize that I had only been a few feet away from never being able to kiss her again or hold my son. As the tears flowed, my squad leader was there again. He hugged me till the tears stopped, and then he looked in my eyes and said, "Happy Alive Day, brother." Looking at him as if he had four noses, he explained, "Your Alive Day is the day that you get to throw up your middle fingers and say, 'Good try, but you missed.' It's the day I lived." I had returned from war and thought I was relatively unharmed, but I had no idea the fight that was just beginning. I was diagnosed in country with a possible TBI and a knee injury, but I was declared fit for duty and returned to my unit just 2 weeks after the accident. Over the next 7 years, things changed, and not always in a good way. My memory was becoming less sharp. I was forgetting things that I had just been told. I was easily triggered and chose anger and aggression over kindness and empathy. My Alive Day would come and go, every year becoming harder than the last. Harder to deal with the memory of that afternoon. Harder to deal with the feeling of the guilt that I was able to go home and others weren't. My wife would tell me something's not right, but I would tell her I'm fine and keep going, because that's the Army way. Every time it was brought up, I would throw my hands in the air out of frustration and walk away, refusing to believe it. I was scared and in complete denial that anything was wrong. I'm a United States Army infantryman. I'm a hard-charging, war-fighting machine. There's nothing wrong with me. That would be my mindset for years to come. It's now July 22nd, 2019, my 7th Alive Day anniversary. I was in Fort Knox, Kentucky, away yet again from the comfort of my home and my little family in Alaska, to train college kids how to be officers. I was tasked with pretending to be a member of the enemy, playing war games in the sticky southern July heat. Everything had come full circle. I was at war against an opponent, and I was mentally back in Afghanistan, except this time it was my turn to create chaos and panic. As another grueling 18-hour day was coming to an end, I was sitting in my tent, covering my arms and legs with calamine lotion, trying to obtain some kind of relief from the burning of poison ivy that covered them, and wiping the war paint off my sweaty, swollen face. My mind was focused on anything but home. I was exhausted and hungry, mentally drained, itchy, and pissed that I was missing yet another spring bear season. When my phone pinged with a picture message from my wife, I assumed it would be a picture of my kids doing something cute. But instead it was the picture of a dirty, tired, skinny, 6-month-old black lab. My response was anything but cordial. What the hell is that? My wife innocently replied, "It's a dog." My first thought was, well, duh. But my reply was nicer. "Where did it come from, babe?" She sends me a text message. Yeah, that is this. She sends me a text message the length of a short story explaining everything. Focused more on the burning pain in my legs and the massive bug bite over my right eye, I read half the story before exhaustion takes over and I fall asleep. But here were my takeaways. He was in the yard. My son saw him. She said, "Go home." He sat on my front porch, and now he's in my house. Yeah. When I woke up, I read the next message that said, "Don't worry, we're not keeping him. We're just fostering him until he finds his people." Famous last words, right, babe? As we were preparing for the day, I show my guys the picture of the dog, and they ask, "Where is he, outside?" Nah. My wife brought him inside, cleaned him up, and fed him. She says we aren't keeping him. We're just fostering him. As the laughter erupts, my buddy Ethan turns to me and says, "Now that's some bull. Y'all are gonna end up keeping that there dog." Oh, so now you're not going to react. Got it. Cool. I laughed and continued getting ready. Little did I know how much that statement would hold, or how much truth his statement would hold. Sorry. I was overjoyed to finally be able to leave behind the poison ivy, snakes, and heat of Kentucky and go home. After collecting my bags, my excitement began to build even more. I was elated to finally get to see my wife and kids. I was so excited that I forgot there would be another dog. The minute I walked through the door, life would never be the same. When that dog saw me in uniform, his demeanor changed. He went from being calm and collected to happy and restless. So much so that he peed all over my boots and tried jumping into my arms. He finally let me get in the door, but still wouldn't leave me alone. He became my shadow. Everywhere I went, the dog was right there, underfoot. The dog was saying in his way that he had found his person in me. How he knew in those first moments is still a mystery to me, but we all know that dogs are more in tune and better at that woo-woo than we are. Stop that. That's not gentlemanlike. After a few weeks, my wife started to notice that the dog always wanted to be near me, either laying next to me, walking with me, or asking for pets. My wife called the shelter and said, "The dog has found his people. We're keeping him." The next thing we did was ask our then 6-year-old what he wanted to name the dog. He looked us dead in the eyes and he said, "He already has a name. It's Mr. Dog." Yes, his name is Mr. Dog. And that's where this amazing story actually starts. Good boy. Mr. Dog was very attuned to my anxiety levels, and he would gently place his head in my hands as if to say, "Hey, you okay? I'm here for you." Around this time, I was prescribed medication for my symptoms, and again, Mr. Dog showed how amazing he was. He seemed to have an internal clock that knew when I needed to take my meds. If I went past the recommended time, he would be by my side staring at me, trying to take me to the bathroom where my meds were kept. This would continue until I realized I needed to take my meds, and Mr. Dog saw it. He would then walk off, find a comfy spot, plop down, and fall asleep. This behavior continued for several years. Jumping in time again to October 2020, a day that I don't remember much, and I'd rather keep it that way. I had a very traumatic episode, and all I can remember is coming to, sitting on the floor with an EMT, luckily a brother in arms, telling me what an incredible four-legged battle buddy I had. As I looked over, there was my black lab, wedged against the garage door. Somehow he knew I didn't belong out there that night. That night, Mr. Dog and my wife literally saved my life. I was medically retired the next year with TBI, PTSD, and chronic pain from injuries sustained while in the service. Casey worked tirelessly to get Mr. Dog trained as my service dog. He now comes with me everywhere. When Mr. Dog isn't in vest, he gets to be a farm dog, lounging around in the sun and chasing my chickens, but still makes sure I take my meds and keeps me level-headed. Mr. Dog attends my son's lacrosse practices and games, giving me the ability to help the coach, and has become an unofficial mascot. He always has my back, like when I fell at the grocery store and he somehow knew to place himself between my head and the ground, cushioning the blow. He now helps create distance between me and others when we're out in public and watching my back like a good battle buddy does. He attends all of my appointments at the VA and keeps me company and lets me know before an anxiety attack happens. How the hell does this dog know how to guide me to a chair and help me calm down? Your guess is as good as mine. Mr. Dog helps get me out of bed in the morning because he depends on me to let him out to go potty and give him breakfast. It isn't easy living with chronic pain and to get out of bed every morning. But every day, Mr. Dog helps me achieve that win. Mr. Dog even dons silly Halloween costumes every year so that I'm less anxious taking my kids trick-or-treating. I can honestly say without Mr. Dog, I would probably be a shut-in. He has helped me slowly become part of society again, like being up here on this stage. I don't know who it was, my ancestors or the universe, that sent me this unicorn-like animal into my life and on such an impactful day. But I'm really grateful for such an incredible companion. Man's best friend is an understatement in describing what this once dirty, tired, malnourished dog who randomly showed up in my yard means to me. He has become a beacon of hope that I may someday, with his help, regain a fraction of my independence from the crippling fears that my PTSD and TBI has given me. There will never be another like Mr. Dog, a dog who every day makes me grateful that I live to see my alive day.